Hold up.
Okay, so making a video significantly harder than I thought it should be, but people have been asking for a comparison between my review, Deshas' review, and why units such as why the units at the top and why the units at the bottom would be the same, and why units in the middle are up for debate. What I'm going to talk about is PvE, PvP, and Ragna. I'm not going to talk about World Break right now or anything. Those are the three major reasons I'm going to get into it. I'm not going to read all the skills. I'm going to give you the reason as to why they're broken, why they are in where they are in each what's it called? In each tier list, and or why they are bad and why they are in each tier list versus also why they are where they are in mine and why they could possibly be where they are in Deshas. What I think is very important to note is Deshas is based off the Japanese server. Ours is global. I've seen people say, and I have no problem, a tier list is purely opinion based, so take it as so. But I've seen people say that I'd rather use Deshas versus this one or whatever. I think it's also important to note that this is based off Japanese. This is based off our some units they have that can handle other units that we can't, which could fluctuate the entire tier list. Versus mine's based purely off of what we have in here. That's it. Um, and yeah, so let's begin. So first off, we're gonna talk about Dana. Dana S plus. S plus is broken. Dana is in the S plus tier because her slide skill. Her slide skill gives her entire team a shield, and her ult gives her entire team 30. I think is it 35? It's 30, isn't it? I'm reading it. I don't know why I said 35. Oh, because I'm reading Dashers too. It gives her entire team 30% defense. So you're effectively doing, if you're going against the Dana, 30% less damage. So in PvE and the story mode, it is god tier to have a nice shield like that. You're taking so little damage. In PvP, we've all gone up against it. I've heard. How do you deal with it? The only way to deal with it is by having another Dana. And to an extent right now, since we do not have the easiest way to deal with her currently. So when someone pops a shield, it's like everyone has a shield. I can't get to the damage. I can't kill Dana because it's a slide skill. She just keeps on using it back to back to back to back to back. So it is really hard to handle. And in Ragna, it's great as well. Ragna, just quick explanation, is think of a think of one unit, and we had to fight that one unit, but she has a bunch of health and she's doing a bunch of damage. So it could be, let's say Dana was the raid boss. That's who we'd be fighting. So that's an example of Ragna, and basically that's why Dana is where she is. I don't plan on staying on like the broken characters that long because we know why and everything. So that's why she is S plus for me. I believe she's broken, and that is why I believe she is top of the list on this one. Next up, we're going to talk about Mars. This one has her as a support. She is a defender, not a support, and that is my friend. So I'm gonna talk about, where is she? Mars. And I'm never gonna find her, am I? Alright, there we go. So Mars. Um, Mars is just a really good tank, and that is for almost all her abilities, to be honest. So her first skills gives her absorb 20% damage as HP. So when she does damage, she gains as HP, which is nice because she's a tank. Yeah, she's a tank that does more damage than, a little bit more damage at least, than other tanks do. But she's also gaining 20% back as health. So that's not bad. Her slide skill deals damage, gain regen, so she's gaining health, and grant barrier to all allies. So her slide skill is also giving you guys a shield, and she's gaining regen. Last up, dry skills gives 20% defense to all allies. So kind of the same thing here is Dana. She's giving her entire team a shield, but she's also giving them regen, and then her herself is gaining health when she does damage. So if you think about it like, okay, I use my slide skill, then she's attacking you and she's gaining the damage that she does back as health, and then on top of that, if she gets her dry skill, she's giving you 20% damage reduction. So PvE, definitely a good unit. PvP, still a good unit. Ragna, see, this is where I somewhat differ. Um, In Ragna, she's still a good unit. It's just her tap skill is not as useful because that's not a lot of damage against it. But the slide skill is still nice, and the damage reduction is still nice. So S unit, not broken, can be handled, but that's why she is S for me and 9 for Desha. Next up is Hades. Good old Hades. I give Hades B plus. And Hades, where are you? Please forgive me, I don't have this all just lined up. So, Hades skills. Hades is B plus, and B plus is a little bit better than average. And I think what I put as B plus is does their job. So it is average. My apologies. So yeah, B plus is he's doing his job as a tank. Uh, doesn't shine anywhere. Doesn't what is the word I'm looking for? He doesn't do anything well. He doesn't do anything bad. He's a tank. He does what tanks do. He takes damage. So, I did see a post that was like about selfish tanks and team-based tanks, and I do want to get on that a little bit later. But for right now, I have him as a B plus average based off of Desha. It's also average, a little bit less than Ragna, which I would agree with. And let's talk about why that is. His slide skill, damage to 2 random enemies, gain reflect. And his ult is deal damage to 2 random enemies, grant 3 allies barrier. So this is what the difference is why he's average. His ult is what Dana and Mars's slide skills were doing. And it's only 2 allies. So this would be the definition of what I would call a selfish tank. And selfish tanks aren't bad by so I mean as long as your team works around them, is he's not really looking out for your team. He's looking out for himself. And unlike, well, not unlike, he does have a taunt. And what normally selfish tanks do is they do normally have a taunt in their kit, is they'll buff themselves up, then attack the enemy to get them to attack you. So for him, he attacks 2 random enemies and he taunts those enemies, which means they're forced to attack him for 10 seconds. What's interesting about his skills is that he also has barrier, and I believe he has reflect, yes. So he gains a little shield, and he reflects a percent of the damage that he takes back at the enemies that are hitting him. Um, Personally, my opinion on Hades is I don't believe he tanks very well. So that's why I have him as B plus. He's selfish, and even though he's a tank, he still dies fairly quickly. So that is why he's a B plus, and like I said, I don't really understand the number rating on here, but I'm gonna say he's an average unit based off of what Dash is saying. Next step on the list for me is Diablo. Diablo, I like Diablo's design. Where is the white? Here we go. So Diablo, also a tank because we're in tanks right now. 675. He has him above average in PvE, has him as a 7 in PvP, and has it as a 5 in Ragna. If we read the abilities, deal 297 damage, gain skill damage defense plus 18%, which means it's only he only gains defense against skills. And taunts for 10 seconds. So it's another one of those units where he's going to taunt the unit to get them to attack him. And slide skills deal 487 damage to 2 random enemies, gain immortal so he can't die, and enrage, which means the more damage he takes. And then after he takes a certain amount, he unleashes it. Think of it like Bide in Pokemon. If you ever played Pokemon, for 2 turns, you can't do anything. You're just getting, screwed up, but then bam, you release it all and attack them. And then his ult is deal 1,397 damage to 2 random enemies, grant up to 5 light type allies defense against all enemies. So he works better with light units. Nothing really crazy there. What's good about him is, and story mode, it's okay. You're kind of running through story mode. So nothing too crazy there. Um, you're running through story mode. He's doing what he does. He's living. Attacks you, becomes invincible, takes less damage, but you see that nothing really stands out to you when I'm saying this. It's just like, oh, yeah, he's a tank. Like, yeah, he's a tank. If you like the design, then by all means go for it. But there's nothing special about him. There's nothing that separates him from anything, which is why I also have him at a B plus. In PvP, I do think he's a little bit better. So once again, I'm gonna agree with Desha on this one, and that's because of his second ability. Um, They're doing a lot of damage in PvP. The ability to become immortal while getting attacked by all these people and then release that damage on them could be a game changer. So, if you just think about, let's say if you had 2 enemies left, you had Mafdet and you had Dana on the enemy team, and on your team you have Diablo, and let's go. Eve. Uh, they're all attacking Diablo. You're taking damage, and all of a sudden you get your slide skill up. You use it. You can't die. Your Eve dies, but they have a little bit more health left. Shields down. You know that the shield won't come up before you release. Afterwards, you release. You kill them both. Well, not kill them both, but you kill them. That's just a good example of what makes a slide skill good in PvP. In Ragna, I would not agree with the 5, and I would not agree with the 5 because of the slide skill agree. Again, I think his slide skill makes him a very interesting unit. I think Enrage is a decent ability. I don't think it's an amazing ability on him, but I think it's a decent ability. I think the Enrage with his immortality is a good ability on basically, yeah. So in Ragnar, I think it's not a 5, I think it's maybe a 6 if I gave it that. I think it's a little bit more useful than average just because it is a nice bit of damage because they are doing a bit of damage to you. But still, average unit. If the playstyle interests you, then I would go for it. Mammon. Mammon may go down as my least favorite character in any game. Not even like in this game. I hate Mammon. I hate his design. I hate the attitude and the story. I hate him. So, Mammon's a selfish tank. And that is because, once again, selfish tank isn't bad as long as your team works around it. So, what he does is he buffs himself, gives himself defense, gains himself skill defense, and taunts. So, he's the same type of unit. He's going to taunt you, he's going to take the aggro off your other units, and that's basically it. Average unit, once again, for a tank. Nothing special. So, okay, so because Mammon is at the below average tier, right? I think it's important to know that what separates from this point S to B from C to below is, do you focus your entire team and help your entire team? Or are you someone that focuses, that's niche or specific? Like, do you focus 2 random enemies? Do you focus 2 defense enemies? Like, who do you help? Do you give a barrier to your entire team as like Dana, or do you give a barrier to 2 enemies with the lowest health? So that's what's separating average versus god tier. Because many 4-star, many 3-star units can do the exact same thing now as Mammon and below. Like when you read Mammon's abilities, there's nothing there that stands out to you. It's just that. So, next up is AI. AI is a unit I am so depressed about. I love her design, but she is not the best. And where are you here? You think two giant red pigtails and I'd be able to find her, but you guys are probably like, where? She's right there. She's right there. Okay. So, first ability, taunt. We already know. She's this type of tank. Taunt, do sorry, taunt, take aggro, yada yada. So her first ability does taunt. Her second ability gains reflect, gains defense for 3 allies. And her ult damages 2 enemies and grants up to 5 allies reflect. She's a reflect tank, so that's a little bit different than what the rest of these uh tanks are doing. So reflect returns a certain amount of damage done to you. So this is, I'm gonna round to 25%. If you hit me with 100 damage, then I'm going to reflect 25 of that damage back to you. I still took the damage, but I also did 25% to you. So if you play League of Legends, think of Hermes. That's reflect. Now, chaos. What's a little bit below average and what sucks about her is normally on a taunt tank, they taunt more than one enemy. In AI's case, her taunt is her first ability. So she's not hitting multiple enemies, though she is putting reflect on multiple enemies. She's not really stopping or negating any damage. She's increasing damage. She's increasing damage done. So let's say you have an all attack team, a very attack focused team. So let's say you have, where is it? Let's say you have Metis. Because Metis is a healer, but she's an offensive healer. Um, let's say you have a Metis on your team. Let's say once again you have an Eve on your team, and let's say you have AI on your team. That's a fairly offensive team, no matter how defensive the defender, healer, whatever stats may say. It's an offensive team. So AI is helping you gain more damage. So she's defending. She's not stopping any damage done to you by any means. I cannot stress that enough. She's just increasing your damage output. So Eve would be doing damage. Metis would be doing damage, and she would be reflecting damage, a percentage of damage back at the enemy team. So to be, that's not a bad kit. So the question is then, why do I have her at a C, and why does Desha have her at 4333? And that's, in my opinion, why I have her at a C is because she's niche. She's not bad by any means. She's just niche. You need a team to work around what she does. Um, she's not going to protect you. Or if you're about to die and you need a barrier, she is not the one to do it. If she's about to die and you need her to taunt maybe a bunch of enemies, maybe the game has not switched over yet, and you can't taunt the enemy that's about to murder you. So that's why she's a niche unit. She's not a bad unit. She just needs, you need to revolve around it. You need a team to work around what she does. Next up is Red Cross. Cross is such an interesting character. Red Cross, where you at, bro? So let's talk about why I have Red Cross as a C as well. Deals 301 damage, grants defense and barrier to one ally. His second ability deals 540 damage, grant reflect to 3 allies, and ult deals 1405 damage to random enemies, gain and grant reflect. Now, here's why he's a C. And to be honest, reading it back, and I think I said I actually wanted to give him a D. I'm not completely sure. Let me see. Yeah, I did want to give him a D. And I'll tell you why. His skills are very below average for a tank. When I read that out, did anything really stand out to you? His second ability gives reflect to 3 allies, so once again, it's not really doing anything. His first ability uh, grants barrier to 1 person. In his ults, oh my god, gaining reflect to 2 allies. Um, he's not doing much. He's the abilities don't even. When I was talking about AI, her abilities they work together. You just needed to work around her. But her abilities, they had a theme. They had a good like, you could see an idea in your head to make it work. Red Cross, on the other hand, is not that easy. His abilities are all over the place. He has reflect, but he's also not helping. He's only putting things on one person. Reflects on three random allies. Okay, but um, it's just not a good kit. I honestly do believe he needs a D. And reading this back, I feel like I should have gave him a D, but as I gave him a C, I let it stay as a C right now. Personally, if you agree or disagree, please let me know. But his kit's just not very good. He's not selfish, but he's also not trying to help your team. He's just there. He's a unit that's there. There's nothing special about him whatsoever. There's many of 4 stars. There's many of 3 stars to use. And if you have anyone above him in this tier list or in Deshas tier list, then I would definitely recommend using them over him. Next up is Sidhe. Oh man. If I'm messing up these names, by the way, please do tell. Let me let me get started on Sidhe. Both the America looking sisters. I actually love the mess out of their art. Love it to death. I think they look so cool. But and this is where it gets. Oh my god. Come on, Dash's website. Help me out here. Her name's not Sidhe on here, is it? Let's find America real quick. America. I assume she's pretty low. Once again, sorry, just give me 1 second. Yo, I'm not stupid, so I gotta be. I gotta just be missing it. There's no way she's this high. Alright. I'm dumb. So sorry. There she is. I was totally past her. Once again, y'all probably like, she's right there. She's right there. Okay. Sidai's not bad. Everything I just talked about in average and above tiers applies to her. What doesn't apply to her is she is so specific. She's not like a little bit specific, she is very specific. All Sidhe's abilities revolve around they'll hit every enemy. Her first ability, her second ability. They will literally hit everyone on your team. So you're probably like, wait a minute, what? If they hit everyone, that would make her S plus. No. They hit everyone if you're a fire type. So if you're not a mono fire team or something akin to a mono fire team, all her abilities are useless to your team and they're only applying to her. Now, she's not a taunt tank, so they're only applying to her, then you're gaining nothing. So her first ability grants barrier to all fire type allies. Her second ability uh, grants double edged, which means your attack goes up, your defense goes down to all allies. Her ult increases your defense to all allies. Her ult's the only thing that actually is all allies. Her first and second skills are all allies to fire type. That's why she's a D. But B plus, you also see that I have. She's a B plus because in Ragna, when it's okay to build monotype, and you can build monotype anyways. If you actually have a mono team, then by far go for it. But in Ragna, let's say if you're going against a grass unit and you have her, then she's a B plus. She's an average unit. She doesn't do anything super amazing, but her abilities really do tie together when your team is based off a fire type squad. Next up, Chunka. Chunka is the same in every game I've ever played. Always a support. Is that Chunka? That's definitely Chunka. Okay. So, Chunka, and if you can hear my peoples in the other room, ignore them. They're watching friends, my friends. So, okay. Let's say, yeah, Chunka, where are you? Okay, Chunka. Chunka is a great unit. Chunga, when going against Chunga's good in anything. And why Chunga's good in anything is because she's an all rounder. She's just good at everything. She's just good at everything. She can fully recharge your skill gauge. Well, 52.5% chance to fully recharge your skill gauge. She increases your charge rate. She increases your slide skill cooldown by 2 seconds, and her ult has a chance to inflict stun. Oh, and that's basically it. A unit who all her abilities revolve around lowering your cooldowns. Basically, is what she is. She lowers your cooldowns, but she lowers your cooldowns on everything she does. That makes her irreplaceable, to be honest. When you're in a game trying to do damage and be able to do the max damage you can as quick as possible, she's the one to help you do it. Great unit. There's no argument here that she's a S plus. There's no argument in Deshas video that she's a good unit. Next up, we have Epona. What's up? Cool. So, Epona's a support. Did 363 damage, defense plus 20% and debuff. I let me talk about Epona. She does before I read her abilities. She does a lot. She does a lot. So what I have as my review is I just said she has that. So I'll explain my review for her. So do 363 damage, defense plus 20%, and debuff evasion plus 15% to allies. So the defense buff is really good. The evasion buff is really good when it works. It can also save your life. When it saves your life, that's what my note meant. Nothing feels better than when that saves your life. Second ability, grant barrier to 3 allies for 22 seconds. As a support, she's granting barrier 3 allies. Not a little, not a lot, but it's definitely really good. On top of that, she's giving defense to 2 allies. It's not a bad ability. And her ult deal 1,703 damage to 2 random enemies. Target 3 allies. Grants defense plus 35 and 2,000 barrier. So she's doing a bunch at the exact same time. She's giving you barrier. She's giving you evasion. She's giving you defense stats. She's just a good all arounder. She is doing a bunch, and she's doing it well. In Desh's review in PvE, he gave her an 8. I can agree with that in the story mode. There's a whole bunch of random buffs. That's not bad by any means. In PvP, I do not know if I would give her a 3, but I will also say that um, what she's doing in PvP is probably not helping that much. And Ragna, which is the raids and everything, is good to have those buffs. It's a mixture of a bunch of buffs. There's nothing wrong about it. It's pretty good. So, I can agree with that. And like I said, this review is just to compare both, explain to you why they are where they are in my list. Next up is Pantheon. Ooh, I hate Pantheon. I don't hate Pantheon. I just don't like male characters. Sounds weird, I know. Pantheon. Okay, Pantheon is a crit based support. Pantheon is said I don't like him. I do not like him. I don't like him on my team because he's I already said it. But he's a good unit. If you're he's buffing your ADC constantly. To constantly buff your crit chance, it's helping your DPS do more damage. Literally nothing wrong with that. That's good almost everywhere. In story mode, good damage, and PvP, he's supporting you. That's good damage, and he's prioritizing the highest attack enemy, which is you. So that's good. If I read Desh's thing in PvE, he gave it a 7. Um, I think I can agree with the 7. It's story mode. Like I said, it's not that hard. It's not that difficult. That's fine. In PvP, mm, that's hard. I'm not sure because I don't rate with like these numbers like this. In Ragna, I can agree. It's pretty high because you in Rage you want to do the most damage to the boss as quick as you can, and he's helping them do that by increasing their crit rate. So it's a hard one on this one, but just where he is as an A, and you're thinking maybe, but he's buffing your crit a lot. You're having a high crit chance. The only problem with that is it's just your DPS. So he's not here supporting your entire team. He's supporting your damage. That's it. He's not really here to make sure you stay alive. He's not here to save your life or anything. He's here to make you a glass cannon. That's exactly what he's here for. And that's why I have him at A. He does what he's trying to do well. He doesn't go he's not trying to do anything else. What he was made to do, he does, and what he does well. Next up is Hermes. Hermes is a trap. Let's talk about that first. That's a dude. Second off, aside from Hermes being a trap, what is Hermes? Hermes. Hermes is above average. That's why I have him at I think I have him at a B plus if I even find his name. Yeah, so I have him at a B plus. So Hermes is a B plus because he's the average unit. He doesn't do anything insane. He doesn't do anything bad. His first ability increases 10% for one random ally. His second ability, he grants attack plus 800. Sorry, he grants his attack plus 800 for 18 seconds and increases the final blow of tap skills by plus 100 for the 3 allies, which means he just increases your tap skill damage, and he's doing that for highest attack. And his ult is deal damage to 3 random enemies, grant attack plus 30%. So what he's doing is he's buffing attack, but in all honesty, he's not really doing it that much. He's also doing it to tap damage, and you're not really tapping that much. You're sliding unless you're really just focusing on it. So he's a B plus. He's not doing his job amazingly. He's not doing his job amazingly. He's not broken, but he's also not bad. If you have him, it's not a bad idea to use it. There are definitely some 4 stars that are better than him. And everyone above him in this list is better than him. He's like a cheap Pantheon, I think is what I'm gonna do. Pantheon's buffing your crit, which is initially doubling damage, whereas he's just increasing damage by just a little bit. Hermes is not amazing by any means or any stretch of the word. Nias, the fish lady. I don't like Nias's design. Little fact for y'all. Fish. So think of this as discount Chunka. She decreases your skill gauge charge, and she decreases your skill charge speed. I don't need to read the abilities. That's what she does. What she does well. Uh, I disagree with the PvE PvP Ragna for Desha. Being as how she is to me a discount Chang'e. In PvE, she's still a good unit. In PvP, she's still a good unit. She's not average. Uh, uh, Average unit would not have these stats on every ability. Um, it's not focusing the entire team. It's focusing random, but it's still not good for those randoms to be able to use their abilities as much. And the randoms that they hit are 3 random units or 2 random units. So by no means bad in PvE. She's I would put her higher than a 5 easily. I don't think she's an average unit by any means. In PvP, I still don't think she's an average unit by any means. In Ragna, I don't think uh I just don't agree with these, to be honest. I do not. I do not agree with this one in specific. I do not agree with it in specific. I think it's mm, cannot agree. So your question is going to be, if she's not an average unit, why is she under B? And that's goes deeper into the character. So, sorry, I had a minor error. So, where's Fish Lady at? That's not her. So, discount Chang'e, not bad. Why do you have her where she is? That goes to scaling. You can build her tanky. You can. So there is ways to make her live a little bit. But just base, she will die so quick. So quick. And it will annoy you so much. She's not a bad unit. I think she's an average unit. She could be a good unit. A lot of time just needs to go into her to make it that way. Next up, Arya. Okay, where's the orange-haired girl herself? It's not her. Feels fun being blind. Cool. Arya. First ability. Grants barrier to one random ally. Skills, slide skill. Deals damage to two random enemies and ignores defense. Ult. Deals damage to two random enemies, regen HP to two allies, lowest HP. She's where she is because she doesn't do anything amazing. She doesn't do basically anything at all. She gave one random person a shield, and yeah, yeah. She doesn't do anything super amazing. Her slide skill is decent because of the drive gauge. Her ult is nothing special. Her first ability is nothing special. Uh, she's just not another unit. You can find 3 stars and 4 stars that can do the exact same thing, significantly better than Arya. I would not recommend using her, and that's basically it. Next up, we have Matt. There's no way I'm pronouncing that right. I can never see Matt being her name. Matt's good because of her ult. If my tier list already didn't say that, which it did. So Matt. Cool. So first ability removes a freeze or petrify. Once again, I actually haven't said that because I deleted that video. Oops. Removes freeze and petrify. It's not useful now, but it will be useful later. Second ability, regen health for all allies for 70 seconds. That'll be useful later. Bang. Her ult. One dead ally is revived at 1000 HP. Irreplaceable. That is a very limited ability, very good to be able to revive a DPS that's died or a tank that's died. Imagine Dana dying for Matt just to revive Dana again, for her to put a shield on everyone right when you think you win. And I know that's happened to y'all in PvP, and I'm so sorry, because same. It's a terrible feeling. So, that's why Matt's good. Matt is S, not broken. She can be handled. It's just a nuisance to handle her. Next up is Syrinx. I've had a lot of people say that why isn't Syrinx S plus? She's a great unit. And she is a great unit. She really is. And this is once again where I'm gonna disagree with Desha. Um what Syrinx does, she does good. She's a fortify healer. Not like a necessary she's giving you health healer. She is a fortify regen healer. Where a fortify is it makes you immune to damage for I believe 3 attacks. So she is making you immune to damage while giving you HP slowly. Now, in PvE, I think it's good to not be able to take damage. There's no way, there's no place where not taking damage is not good. Good ability. In PvP, I think 8 is not a good thingy. I'm putting that 9 or 10. I think it's annoying. It's a great ability. It just made your entire ability useless. So I'd put that higher on Deshas, and Ragna, I think it's a good ability as well. The only thing that sucks is she's not healing you. She's a healer, but she's not healing you. So if you have her, you may want to actually get another healer to actually heal you while you can't take damage, if that makes sense. But Syrinx is a good unit, and that's that on that one. That is why she is a plus. She's not S plus because she's not broken. She's not an S because she doesn't do anything that someone else doesn't like necessarily do, but what she does do good. Next up, Risaka. Risaka's my favorite unit. That's a damn shame. It's a damn shame. Rusaka. So, What she does is she heals multiple entities at the same time. What other units do, they normally heal one unit. They normally regen like 2 units, whatever. Fusaka, um, straight HP heals you, and she does it to 2 to 3 allies. What sucks about that is many 3 or 4 stars use it, which is why she is at a B. She's a little bit below average. She doesn't do what she does. She doesn't do anything special. She literally does nothing special. Nothing about her kit is a 5 star worthy, if that makes sense. She's not. She's just not doing it. So that's that on that. I'm not really gonna go too deep into that one. She's a healer. She flat heals. A flat heal is cool, but she's not doing anything else. It may keep it's late game. It doesn't even keep you alive. It's like, yes, I got 300 health for them to hit you with 500 health and you're still dead. It's not an amazing ability. It's nothing special. She's just a healer. Early game, it's pretty nice. Late game, it's like, I kind of wish I would have invested in another unit. So next up will be Metis. Metis's concept. It's not Metis. Oh my god. Metis's concept is so interesting. Unfortunately, if you're using her as a healer, would not recommend it. So what does she do? Heals 201 HP for 1 ally. Grants Immortal and Regen, and what really stands her apart is her ult. Grants 2 allies Frenzy. So for 14 seconds, you do 70% more attack and you're invincible. So let's talk about that. She's really useful as an attack healer. She also does a bit of damage. So most people, what they do is if they play Metis, they play her as an attacker. Meaning they build her attack, they build her crit, they build her damage. So she's doing damage as a second attacker. She also has her ult to buff herself and the DPS. That's where Metis is useful. If you think about her as a healer, though, she is a C plus healer. What's keeping her there is her ult. She is very unique. So that's very nice. She's pretty cool. She is very unique. I'm not gonna tell you she's not very unique. Just in the healer role, she is a C plus. She is not trying to heal you. Like if you think of a dark healer, this is in my head. This is what I think of. So that's what you would if you want to play Metis. That is what I recommend you doing to play Metis. Next up, Aurora. Aurora always looks so sweet. Aurora, where are you? Once again, sorry if I could like type this or anything to like get to these units quickly. I promise you I would, but I can't. So, deals 330 damage, heal amount plus 30% for fire types. So keep that in mind. 75% chance to remove all skill damage reduction effects from 2 debuffed allies, and her O regen 272 HP for 3 allies, and for 18 seconds additional damage if inflicted with damaging debuffs. So she works around debuffs, which is very, very niche, but she's also not healing for a lot compared to any other unit like barrier unit or just healing you or giving you immortality or anything like that. She's not special. She's very niche. She's nothing amazing. That's why she sits at a C. For 5533, I would have to agree. She's an average unit. She is definitely below average in Ragna. She's not doing anything crazy specific. Next up. Olga. I had a lot of people say that they did not realize Olga was as good as he was. Let's talk about Olga. His name's Olga in Japanese. Yeah, thought so. I was like, wait a minute. Okay. I don't even need to read Olga, but yes. That's not him, he's the one next to it. Alright, Olga. This is what he does. He develops everybody. He's constantly messing up your skill gauge, which is the most annoying thing in the world. He also does a fuck ton of damage, alright? And he's silencing you so you can't use your abilities. Now imagine that. Just imagine this in PvP. You have someone that's slowing down the speed at which you can use abilities. You also have someone that's silencing you, so when you do get the abilities, you can't use it, and then he's gonna slow it down again. That is so annoying. So that's why he is broken as mess in story mode and broken as mess in uh PvP. Now, I agree with this one. Why he sucks in Ragna is because everyone in Ragna cannot take debuffs. They are all immune to debuffs. So everything he does, you cannot do in Ragna. So it's just basically useless. You're like, man, I wish my debuffer could actually debuff, but he can't. So it's basically useless. You just have a guy there that does damage. It's just like, man, none of my abilities are working. So fuck my life, I guess. So that's why he sets it at A plus. If they could take damage, he would be broken as hell and would be an S. That's why he sits at A plus. Next up is Nirti. Nirti is a good unit. Why people do not think she's a good unit is beyond me. Deals 391 damage, removes one buff. Deals 610 damage to 2 enemies. Has a 75% chance to inflict confuse for 10 seconds on the enemy. And then deals 2017 damage to 3 enemies with highest attack. Remove one buff on enemy. She removes buffs is what's really good. Higher levels of Ragna and higher levels of PvP, really good, as well as PvE. So let's say, are you guys having a problem with Danas and everything? Well, guess what? Or their charge rate and everything go up? There's your counter, guys. She's gonna take it away from them. So their whole yes, I can't be killed because I have all this stuff is gone. She took that buff away from them. And then she confused them. Now confuse is kind of sketchy, and I've had people ask what confusion does. Confusion does exactly what you think it does. It makes them fuck up their teammates or random enemies. That's what confuse does. But what's good about her and what makes her good is her remove a buff. If you are having a problem, I cannot stress this enough. If you are having a problem with units because they are buffing themselves, shields, or increased charge rate, or literally anything. She is the one to destroy that entire thing. All right, that entire wall that that team just put up, useless. Nirti just shattered it. That's why she is where she sits on mine. She's an A plus. She's an A plus right now because in this meta, who is running rampant, who is annoying right now, who is all these buffs right now in this meta, supports and defenders are broken. They are significantly more uh, what is the word? Sought after than attackers, debuffs, and healers, which is if you check my tier list, I actually put defenders and supports higher on that list because of that. They are making the meta right now. I think you guys have talked about the triple threat in the Reddit thread. The triple threat is who exactly? Thank you. That's why Nirti is where she sits right now. Next up, Lanfei. Lanfei's an all-rounder. Personally, I like Lanfei, but I also have Lanfei, but I'm not using her on my team currently. Lanfei is an all-rounder. She puts a weaken on enemies. She ignores defense. She destroys your drive gauge. She removes buffs from enemies using her ult. She, what do I have her as a rating as? Should have it like a. Oh, got lost, guys. My apologies. Yeah, A. She's an all-round unit. She's not bad. She does a bunch of things. The reduce attack is not bad by any means. It's just a good unit. That's why she's at an A. She does a lot. She does it well. She's not broken by any means. She's not hard to handle. She's just a good unit. Next up is Jupiter. Jupiter. God, do I hate fighting Jupiter. Jupiter is a piece of shit. Let's talk about it. Let's please talk about it. Jupiter's first off leader skill is one of the few leader skills that's for all enemies. Doesn't matter about your type. So it defends your defense. Oh my god, I cannot speak for shit. He lowers your defense. Not only that, all his abilities lower your defense. Every single one of them. His entire thing is I'm going to make you naked and then someone is going to destroy you. So, deal 369 damage, defense -5. Deal 588 damage to defense. Deal 588 damage to 2 enemies with the lowest defense. He's already over here destroying your defense. Alright, inflicts bleed. And then deals 1,806 damage to 3 random enemies, removes one buff, and raises defense -25% for 20 seconds. He's literally destroying every defense you have, and then someone's gonna hit you, and it's gonna do a lot more damage than you think it did because he just destroyed your defense. Also, his leader buff, do not forget about that. Like I already mentioned it, but I'm just saying, think of all that. With this is already minus 10%. That's why he's good where he is. In PvE, he's a good unit. In PvP, he's definitely, I would tie it with an A. In Ragna, he's a good unit. Good character. That's why he sits at an A. You will not find someone like him. He's a good unit, but he requires a team to work around him. That's the whole A thing. He's a good unit, just work around what he does. Midas. I have Midas too. I don't think Midas is name. Yeah, it was the same in Japanese. Okay, so we actually agree here. Okay, so Midas. He debuffs a lot. That's basically his whole thing. He has a whole bunch of debuffs. What sucks is there are a bunch of single target debuffs. So in PvE, it's yeah, unless you're going against a boss. In PvE, it's yeah, there's really no reason for it in PvP. I'd put that real low on PvE. And Ragna, he is broken as hell, which is why I have the S tier rating. When you're going against one enemy and you're applying these, and they can be affected with a debuff, that's very important. It's very important. If they cannot be affected with a debuff, then you're screwed. But when they can be affected by the debuff, he is broken as hell. Okay, that's why he sits where he sits, and is weakened. Weakened. If I'm correct, I may have this wrong, but I'm pretty sure weak point can't be stopped in Ragna. I had to check that one, but I'm pretty sure I had to check. I had to go back to the. I change servers in a second. I'm pretty sure we cannot be stopped by Ragna, like raid bosses, which is why he is nasty strong in those specific scenarios. Next, we are in the attackers. So, what I want to focus on in attackers is most DPS units are kind of the same. So I'm actually probably not gonna run through all of these and like open them up and everything to be completely well. Yeah, because I could still compare it. So most attackers are basically the same right now. That will change, I promise. But it's like their first ability does this, their second ability hit. I mean, their tap ability hits like 4 times. The second ability hits like 2 to 3 enemies. Their third ability hits and does a bunch of damage. That's a nutshell of what DPSs do. So why is Eve broken? Eve's broken because of this. At level, this what I mean. A lot of people have been asking about Eve. Eve is useful when she's maxed. Like Eve requires a lot. I mean, by a lot, I mean you need to. Can't even do it 'cause I don't have Eve. But you want to rank up all your abilities as much as you can. You want to rank them up. You want to level them up. You want to get her to 6-star. Once you do all that, the scaling on raindrop is nasty. She will run through anyone you fight because that poison is doing a ungodly amount of damage per second. If you play Epic 7, there's an archer. I forgot her name. It starts with a T. She applies like 3 stacks of poison and it chunks the bosses. That's Eve. That's the definition of Eve, except for she can use it a lot and it will destroy you. That's why Eve is good. That's what she does. That's what separates her from other DPSs. So I agree with this. She is quite the hard unit to handle too because you're probably getting basically insta-killed by her. It's the gayest thing in the world. Maftet. What makes Maftet good? Deals 477 damage with her basic to one enemy, priority lowest HP. So she has execute potential. She's going for the lowest person. She's trying to murder them. Cool. Deals 797 damage and 350 bonus damage to 3 enemies. Recovery block. So she has an anti-heal and it's a fuck ton of damage. Ult deals a bunch of damage to all enemies. Targets 3 enemies. Grants recovery block. So she's an anti-heal DPS. What is different about her versus others is she does a lot and she scales with a lot. She is doing a bunch of damage and she will continue to do a bunch of damage. That's why. So, like I said, I'm gonna somewhat run through the DPSs because the DPSs aren't really anything special. And that this tier list is complicated to understand over here. Hestia. It looks nice though. It does look very nice. Hestia. Hestia does exactly what I told you what DPS does. What changes Hestia to an A+ unit is she also does a bunch of damage. She also scales pretty well. That's what's good. The bleed proc, very nice. No problem with it. She's a good damage dealer. She's a damage dealer that does a good amount of damage. Woo! Next up. What makes Frage good is his ult. And he has execute potential as well. Frey, where are you? Oh, cool. So when I start this, I'm going to read his ult. Frage deals 2,484 damage to all enemies, inflicts debuff blast on debuffed enemies. First debuff is removed and damage related to the effect is done. He's doing a bunch of damage with his ult, scales crazy high. Deals 612 and 135% damage to 3 enemies. Also good. Deals 485 damage to 1 enemy, priority lowest HP. So he has what's it called? Crap. Execute potential and gain crit rate plus 40 for 12 seconds. So that's not bad. Now think about him with where are you? Pantheon. Him with Pantheon. He's already increasing them by 40. Pantheon's increasing them by 35%. So now he has a 75% chance to crit. That's very good. Good unit. Disability. Disability. Good. Not bad by any stretch of the word. You won't find attackers that do that very often. So Frage, A. Higher than average. Easy. Medib. Where is this? Double colored girl. Cool. So I have Mebd at a B plus. Average. Deals this much damage, deals this much damage, does bonus if they're buffed, does damage, does damage. There's literally nothing here that's special at any point. That's why she sits where she is. She does a little bit of damage, but she doesn't do anything special. And once again, that's a thing in DPSs right now, and I cannot wait until we get more units. But that's why she sits where she sits. Abaddon. Does damage, does damage. What changes him is this. After you use his ult, you gain a support type skill, which is increases your charge speed plus 50% for 2 turns. But aside from that, you can find better DPSs very easy. There's nothing really super special about him, so he's average. Does average damage, has average skills. Elizabeth. Elizabeth, if I'm correct, is everyone's waifu in the world right now. Y'all love Elizabeth. Elizabeth is pretty cool though. Rue, where are you? She was my first 5-star unit, to be honest, on the Korean server. Alright, I would say, guys, tell me where she is, but y'all can't talk to me, so don't think I'm gonna figure out where she is. Cool. Elizabeth. So, there's 111 damage, does 442 damage 4 times, like I told you in the beginning. That's normally what the tap will be. Deals a certain amount of damage to 3 random enemies, does a bunch of damage, inflicts bleed. She doesn't do anything super special outside of attacker. She does what she does it well, that's it. She's an average unit. She's an average DPS. Nothing fancy there. And that's literally the theme for what I'm trying to get here on DPSs. Siren, 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 siren. Skills. So, deals damage, deals 439 damage 4 times, gain vampirism, which is pretty cool. It's kind of like it's lifesteal, so she's gaining lifesteal. Deals damage to 3 enemies, deals damage. She's not doing anything special, there's nothing crazy about it. That's about it. She's average damage, and I forgot to do this on the other ones, but you can see from here versus here. I think one thing we're agreeing on so far, it's this. They're doing average stats. There's nothing really special about it. So, Thanatos. So you see there's no one below a B, and that's just because there's no one not doing what a DPS does. A DPS is going to do what a DPS does, in a nutshell. Okay, deals damage 4 times, deals damage to 2 enemies, inflict poison, and deals damage. Once again, nothing special that they do. The poison's nice in all areas, which is probably why he also did this. I have no disagreement. Poison is a good ability. It stacks, but the next time they attack, it does a decent amount of damage when it does. So, a DPS being doing what DPS does again. Bastet the kitty. Where you at, kitty? Kitty. Okay. So, Bastet, all her abilities, same thing, deal damage. What separates her is she has blind. Blind I've rarely seen work. It has a chance to lower their, or it lowers their accuracy, so which means they have a chance to not hit you. Basically, yeah. So I know I ran through that last little bit pretty quickly, but I just wanted to explain to you why I had my rankings where I had them compared to where Desha had his rankings where he has them. I will put up the Korean later, and I may redo this entire tier list and get a little bit more in depth with it, but I just seen a lot of questions on it as of late, and I want to make sure you knew the reasons behind what I said compared to also what Desha said to say like maybe we do agree on certain things. Maybe we disagree on certain things. To be honest, I'm not 1,000% understanding if it's 10, 9, 8, 7, 7. I've never seen a ranking system like this in per se. And some things we agreed on easy. Some things we didn't agree on. Like I think, like I said, he's basically useless at some things, but he's also good. I think this unit is absolute trash. Um, but I also this is with the Japanese server, so some people are higher than they should be. Some people I think are lower than they should be because, for example, there's people that we don't have. So that's why I just have it. I wanted to bring them both up, compare it, and everything. But with that, that's all I'm going to say for now. So with that, peace.